What's up, guys? We are back here at Morbid Curiosities with another episode for you guys in this season. My name is Mercedes Martinez, and with me is the nefarious necromancer.
Nicholas Ewers. It Man, it feels weird to be recording. I can't believe we're actually in it. Oh man, it's like our own horror movie.
I know, shit. We're back on our regular schedule, and it feels like a decade has passed already. Like, what the fuck is going on here? What are we doing?
And again, we haven't even taken a break from recording. At least I don't think we've taken a break from recording, but it feels like it's been a very long time. I mean, we kind of alluded to it at the end of Weapons, but a lot's been going on in at least like my personal life. so I'm glad we can make the time to do this stuff and have fun with especially these movies.
I feel like everyone has been going through it recently, like fucking with that full ass moon the other night. And then almost every person was telling me that their week was off or their day was off, or, you know, everyone is going through it. So, yeah, it feels like it's been a minute since we've been recording and we haven't even taken a break. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Dude, speaking of being off, and I wonder if this affected you or anybody else who may be listening in the Chicagoland area. This episode is coming out like a week or so, a couple weeks after this happened, but there was a really bad rainstorm on like Monday, I think it was, and I was driving an hour plus to go help my girlfriend with something, and the storm hit, and a car crashed immediately, and it was raining so bad I couldn't see. I know the listeners don't care, so I'll wrap this up. But I had to pull over on the side of the expressway. That's the only time I've had to do that in my 32 years of existence, and it was like so bad. I thought I was going to crash. I've never driven in that bad of a storm before. So that was how the week started.
Holy shit. I was just going to reflect on the fact that we're back on Wednesday's recording schedule, and the new season of Wednesday came out a couple weeks ago, and they even gave us a sly shout out on there. Have you watched the new season of Wednesday?
No, I didn't even know it was out. But what do you mean
Oh
they gave
shit.
us a slash shout out?
Okay, so it's not a spoiler or anything to anyone who hasn't watched it yet, but no, the first half of this season came out, and there was, an interaction between Wednesday and Tyler, and Tyler basically tells her, your morbid curiosity led you back to me or something like that, and I was like, they gave us a shout out. They know who we are. That was the moment. We came alive in there.
I wonder if there's a way to screen grab that audio clip and we can post it on our Instagram
We should.
or maybe drop it in the episode or something.
Dude, we should. All right, we got to figure out how to do that because that made my day when I saw that.
Even if you just record it off your TV, I think that would be cool. It would be worth sharing. I mean, it's good to see that Tim Burton and the folks he has working for him over there at recognize what we're doing. At least I think Tim Burton's still involved with that show. I don't really know anymore.
Yeah, he is. And dude, you got to watch it. It's very refreshing to get back into that world. So yeah, I highly recommend watching it. The second half of the second season is coming out in September. So, I mean, you got time, but I would say just watch it now. Just jump into it.
So I think my girlfriend is actually into Wednesday. I'll have to double check, but that might be a good show to watch with her because we haven't really landed on a show yet. So I'm gonna pitch that one to her. Thanks for, giving me some awareness to this very popular show that I'm sure everybody listening already knew was out on right now. And Netflix doesn't need our plug, so I might bleep every time I say the word Netflix.
Damn, okay. But yeah, that was my shameless little plug there from that show. But yeah, well, at least you didn't go too crazy with the car crash. Nothing happened to you.
I could have reached my final destination too.
I was about to say that's a good way to segue into this though. So yeah, guys, we are covering Final Destination 2. I'll just say spoilers ahead right now, even if we don't jump into them right away. But yeah, we covered the fear of flying for everyone in the first one, and now we're covering the fear of driving in the second one. And, you had a perfect example of that shit. So,
And the driving in this one too, it's on a nice slick road. It looks like it was raining not too long ago. Even though the earlier scene in the movie, it doesn't seem like there was any indication of rain. The weather seemed like it was fine all day, maybe a little cloudy. Enough to
mhm.
see like the transmission oil on the ground. We're getting ahead of ourselves though.
No, 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 you're good. Like I was saying, like this movie, you even said it's not plot heavy, but yeah, that fucking road, you even got like a motorcyclist speeding his way on the road. It's like, dude,
Oh man.
you're about to crash. Like you're begging to fucking slip and crash somewhere because what the hell? And it was funny because I was watching the video from YouTube, Things You Must Sees World, and a lot of my points are gonna be from that video, but, like, he even mentioned, "Why is everyone driving on this road with their windows rolled down?" Like, that's something you don't see, especially because of the fact that it was raining, like, previously, so, I don't know, that kinda bothered me too, because ain't no way in hell everyone got their windows down.
Even the kids, like, our quote unquote main characters, the people we think we're gonna be with through the whole movie, they're smoking weed. They're doing drugs in their car, and they know there's a cop around, and they just have their windows rolled down. They throw the joint out on the side of the street that the other side that the cop is on. I'm like, what are you guys doing? That's like so irresponsible on so many levels.
Exactly, just dye that shit out and hide it, and then you would have been fine. And there was even another guy, like doing another drug and shit. So it almost everyone was doing something crazy on the road because you got those two fucking doing drugs, and then you have a semi truck driver drinking a beer. So almost everyone is under the influence on this road. That is a just a means for a disaster there.
And the semi truck driver doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of what's happening. He's not involved in the crash. They just are like, hey, there's a guy drinking and driving while he's ironically driving a vehicle delivering alcohol that says, like, drive safe or don't drink and drive or something.
Like, I feel like I'm doing something illegal when I'm just eating and driving. Like, damn, both my hands should be on the wheel, but I'm hungry.
That might be illegal. Is that illegal? Someone told me you could get pulled over for eating while driving, but I
I'm
never
sure you
looked it up.
can. Yeah, I'm sure you can, but like everyone eats and drives. Well, I'm assuming everyone does, at least like a sandwich or a burger. But someone that I used to
Mhm.
work with told me this other girl was pulled over because she was fucking eating a bowl of chili while she was driving. So in that case, you kind of need
I
two
get that.
hands. Yeah.
That's wild. A bowl of chili has gone too far. You can
Right.
wait till you get to your destination to eat that chili, or just buy something else from Wendy's or wherever you just pulled out of.
Speaking of which, the cop in this movie, of course, he has a cup of coffee. No judgment on that. We all have coffee, but this motherfucker has a full cup of coffee that's in an
The most
angled,
full.
yeah, exactly, in an angled like cup holder with no fucking lid on it. Why? Like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's like, Sir, you must have been walking to your car with that coffee, like, so close to you,
Mhm.
just splashing everywhere. I don't know if you guys have seen Friendship, the movie that came out this year with Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd, but there's a really funny bit where at the office he's got a coffee cup that's filled to the brim, and he's just walking so slowly with it, and he does it every day, and everybody is always making fun of him for it. And I was just like, that's what his walk to the car must have been like. He must be the doofus at the police station who overfills his cup of coffee every day.
Exactly. And if you're already on the expressway, that coffee had to have, cooled down by that point. Should not be scalding hot because it does eventually spill on him and distracts him from looking at the road. But yeah, no, oh my God, I hate when I see cups of coffee on TV or movies because I am analyzing the fuck out of them just because I've worked in coffee shops before. I'm just looking at them like there's nothing in that cup. They did not pour anything in that cup. They're not drinking anything. And yeah, so this guy, he let me down with that one cup of coffee.
Usually you have the problem of there's not coffee in that. This movie you have the opposite. There's too much coffee in that. That's not believe. First it's like they're
Exactly.
not holding that right. It's like there's air in there. And now
Exactly.
it's like too much coffee. They got to find a balance.
They really
How about
do.
just half the coffee, half the cup with coffee? How about that?
Or just fucking slam it down before you decide to go on the expressway. What the hell? What a wiener.
I know we're really, like, picking apart the sequence in a pretty funny way, but in all seriousness, and hopefully this doesn't shift the tone of the pod, I think this sequence is incredibly well done and incredibly well realized. I've watched this sequence maybe 8 times for, like, leading up to the podcast, and most of that isn't on purpose. This movie I've decided to put on the list of movies I've most frequently fallen asleep to, or movies I can't seem to stay awake during, because every time I was like, I'm going to watch this movie for the podcast, I fell asleep right after the intro. I'll be like, this intro's badass. I mean, I did it alone. I did it with my girlfriend Monday night. I did it today when I got home and was preparing for the podcast. I've fallen asleep to this movie. This and House of Gucci are the two. But that aside, I think that I would have to compare. I guess I'll decide at the end of the season, but I think this might be the best directed sequence in the whole franchise. It's fucking crazy how much work seemed like it went into this.
Yeah, like them just focusing on each vehicle during this whole scene. I did like what they were showing because you get, the personality of each person in there. You have Rory, who's like the deadbeat drug addict in there, doing his thing. And then you have the very mousy looking one. I think her name is Kat. She's on the phone almost in every scene of this movie, but she's on the phone in there. She's smoking, multitasking. And they show just like this kid and his mom. I forgot their names, but with them, like, okay, they are pretty much like attached at the hip in every scene too. So yeah, I kind of like the direction that they were going for following them on this road.
It's a good way to lay out all of the characters. But you had mentioned like Cat, and I had to think for a second. Wait, Cat, is that the main character? That is an issue I've had throughout this movie. I couldn't like tell Cat and Kim apart, and their names were similar. I don't know if you had that issue at all.
I just couldn't figure out why this cast was casted because aside from the few people that I knew, which really wasn't a lot, Ali Larder and Noel Fisher, as well as Tony Todd, of course, like I didn't fucking know anyone from this. I knew of AJ Cook after this film, but yeah, everyone in here, they were not recognizable to me. They didn't have like the type of character that made me latch on to them in this film at all. So yeah, their names are pretty forgettable. Only reason why I'm remembering a few now is just because I recently watched it.
Yeah, I am wondering if these movies could benefit from either a little bit of star power or maybe an injection of charisma into some of these characters. It's These characters are very thin and lifeless, and it's probably the biggest issue of this movie. This is better, I think, in the character department than the last movie, but it still feels very flat, I'd say. But back to like the craziness of the intro. I feel like the whole episode could be the intro. I know we won't stay on it, but the it is truly, I think, the best part of the movie. This movie begins on such a high note. It it's weird because I almost said the intro feels very Mad Max Fury Road. Or maybe it could feel like any of the other Mad Maxes, but I haven't seen the original Mel Gibson ones in a while. But I was watching it thinking like this is very Fury Road to me. The way the logs are just smashing into all these cars. It looks like they actually smashed and flipped over cars. Like, could you? I know the explosions were CGI, but did it all look practical to you? Could you see any CGI in there?
The only time that I really saw CGI to the point that it bothered me was when Kimberly actually, pulled over and was preventing everyone from going onto the highway, and then the whole pileup occurred. That's when you saw like, oh man, that's a big ass green screen or whatever. But everything else, like, it looked pretty effective. I agree when, the logs are starting to fucking crash into the state trooper's car and fucking destroy him. That was like, damn, I can still believe that fucking shit happened. And then everyone else, when their car is flipping over, or even when their car is just exploding, it looks very real in that point where I could believe it.
Yeah, that's all the money's on screen right there. And when that log goes through that fucking cop car and just demolishes him, I was like, whoa. This is crazy. I That's when I first knew that we were gonna be in for an experience that was probably gonna be deliver more than the first one, and I personally do at this point, but, like, in order of the kills, if you're cool with me going down each kill in this intro, you get the cop, he gets demolished with the log through the windshield. I love that it's just a big s just, like, blood everywhere in the cop car splattering. It's very insane. And then the guy on the motorcycle, he slides off the motorcycle, ends up hitting the log. The motorcycle goes and like slices him in half up against the log. The guy who is doing drugs, his car flips. He gets hit by a semi and then explodes instantly. The businesswoman Cat, she flip goes headfirst into a log and flips over. The mom and son, a water bottle goes under the pedal and it can't break. And that was actually something my girlfriend, because I keep bottles of water, I like throw them in my back seat, and she was like, when we were watching this intro together, she was like, "I really want you to stop doing that. I am worried that
Aw,
that is going to happen to you." Yeah, it was out of a
that's so
genuine place
cute.
of concern. Yeah, so I was like, okay, I should probably not terrify my girlfriend.
I
But
love that.
yeah, it was pretty sweet. It showed that she really cared. Not saying that she doesn't show that she cares typically, but it really showed in that moment. Um,
Right.
but so they go headfirst into a log and explode. The cool guy who just won the lottery, he was in that movie Snow Day. So Snow Day himself, he crashes into a truck, burns alive, and then the main cast flip over a billion times in a really cool sequence when they're spinning and flipping over. It's very well shot. And then they get hit by a truck and burn alive. I will say I did clock that the pregnant woman didn't die at the beginning.
You see, I didn't even pay attention to that because, again, like, it was in the beginning of the movie, so you're not really like, "Okay, this is my favorite character already," or, whatever, but I
She was
completely
my
forgot.
favorite. I was rooting for her right away. Right when I
Seriously?
saw a pregnant woman, I was like, "Oh, no. I hope she lives. I don't want her to die." And then my girlfriend, in the middle of, like, the chaos, she was like, "Did the pregnant woman die?" And I was like, "I actually didn't see her die, and then I started paying attention for the rest. So if she didn't call it to my attention, I don't think I would have been paying attention enough to clock it.
Okay, okay, I could see that. Well, are there any other details you wanna go into for the intro scene?
I mean, I do kind of want to talk about like when she wakes up from her premonition or whatever, but everything before all the chaos, I'm good on that.
Okay, lead us into, once she realized she just had a premonition.
I just wanted to point out that like her friends die. I did think it was interesting that they removed who we thought were going to be the main cast, and I thought it was a good decision. All of those characters kind of sucked. I liked her friend a little bit, even though she was being really weird with Kim's dad around.
Yeah, that
Um,
was no, that was so awkward.
I thought she was going to wake up from that, and that was just going to be another premonition, but no, they get struck and killed by the car that killed her in the premonition. And then another thing I have to say too, I don't know if Kim prevented, because the last one, they prevent a certain number of people from dying. This one, the accident happens, and it seems like a whole new group of drivers just died. And so I was just like, wait, she didn't prevent death. She prevented those people from dying. And then other people just died in their place, seemingly, in a
Exactly.
still insane car accident. So there's already holes in the logic from the jump with this one, I think. Unless I'm misunderstanding the logic here.
Yeah, because now it's just like, all right, now these people are dead and they weren't meant to die. So then you would think they would survive because, death has this whole grand design of who's going to die and when. And there's even a scene later on, like I'll just refer to the scene and then we can jump back to this, where the guy Eugene, he witnesses one of the women die. So then he's all of a sudden freaked out and he attempts to, steal the state trooper's gun and tries to shoot himself. But then all six bullets are actually duds. And it's like, okay, well, it wasn't his turn to die, so that's why he, wasn't able to shoot himself successfully. Okay, but all these people who were not meant to die are now dead. Make it make sense to me.
Yeah, and they try. So there's a weird thing this movie does, and to my knowledge, 3 is the only one I haven't watched yet so far in this, like, marathon that I've been doing, so I don't know what 3 does, but as far as I know, they never really do the death going backwards thing again, so that's something they introduce in this one, is that death goes backwards. They introduce that death really likes MacGuffins and fake outs for the audiences. I believe that Death understands he's in a movie, I think. It seems that way because who is he doing all this fucking shit for if it's not for us? You
He's
know?
doing it for Tony Todd because Tony Todd is the only one who seems to have an inkling of what the fuck is going on in this universe.
Yeah, in a very creepy way too. I find it very unsettling whenever he walks in the room. People like act like his character is so beloved. I'm like, his character's a creep, man. What are we I mean, that's not to be disparaging against the late Tony Todd, but his character in this is creepy as fuck, man.
I was about to say, like, yo, are we about to like start battling it out now? But I
He's
no,
got a
I like
history of playing pretty creepy characters.
I know, and that's what makes him so fucking legendary. But no, his character in here is fine. It's just kind of gross that every time we do see him, he's pulling out something from a dead body. So you hear the sound effects from whatever it is exiting the body of the corpse. It's kind of gross. That's the only part I don't like, but Tony Todd, he makes the movie. He is death.
He could be death, we won't spoil the later movies, but let's just say they don't do that, and that's something they could have done. Is it a spoiler to say what movies don't do, what's not in movies? Is that a
No.
spoiler? Like
No.
like, Spider-Man's not in this movie, in Final Destination 2. Is that a spoiler?
That's a come on, come up with a different
I
reference.
don't know, that was just right there. Give me a break. I'm
My
kidding.
bad.
No. But yeah, this death design stuff and the rules of death, these movies really labor over this stuff, and it seems maybe it's just to eat up time with dialogue, but I could care less about Death's design or any of this. I thought we were going to be in for a rough start when the movie begins with a guy on TV talking about Death's design in like such a serious way on such a serious platform. I was like, "Oh my god, more of this shit." But I was able to look past it a bit more in this movie, even though they're like, wait, Death is working backward. Why would Death do that? Oh, wait, he's filling out, cutting loose ends or whatever. And they tie it back into the events of the first movie, which felt totally unnecessary. But I mean, it was the second movie, and I guess they didn't know what this franchise was gonna be, and that the later movies would later really not give a shit about the first movie to an extent.
It's funny too because I kind of mentioned this in our last episode. So for this one, when I first watched it, I really liked it. I guess because I really believed in the whole the car crash scene where everyone like died in the pileup. Okay, like that shit could happen, but that was cuz I was
You
driving
believed it
every
was a
day.
true story.
No, no, no. I'm just saying like damn to me
It
like
was kinda
that's
like Fargo. You were
yeah.
like, "Oh, this is based on a true story," but it wasn't.
No, I was just like, damn, realistically, that can happen because I hadn't seen the first one yet. And also, I had never been on a plane before. So I couldn't relate to that. This I could relate to because I do always see like fucking log trucks like that or like trucks that are like loading like carrying a heavy load. Even yesterday driving, I saw this one truck transporting a fucking upside down Denny's sign. Like I thought that was funny as hell for some reason, but
Hey, that could still be dangerous.
exactly, I moved away from him and zipped forward because I was not about to let that flip over and crush me. So, yeah, no. No,
Yep.
no.
Last movie ended with a sign hitting somebody and they died, you know. This experience you just had combined the two deaths in these movies. They combined a sign and a truck.
Exactly. So I was a little nervous about that. But anyway, it was funny because when I first watched this, I really did like it. But now watching it, oh my God. When I could not stay focused on it, like how you even said you kept falling asleep, I just kept zoning out, like, damn, this part's not interesting, or this person's kind of annoying me. Let me pay attention to my dog because this part is boring. So, yeah, and them just trying to have this plot connected to the first one, like each person was connected to someone who died before in the previous movie. To me, that felt very forced because even when they were in the scene where they were like these remaining survivors, they're all together, they're talking about like, oh, I escaped or I cheated death at one point. They all kind of go into the details of their story of what happened, but then once Clear says, oh wait, that was actually you know, Terry who got killed in your story, then the rest of them all of a sudden started saying, "Oh yeah, this person, it was, Miss Luton or it was Billy Hitchcock." Like all of them started bringing up the names. It's like, "Okay, why didn't you say their name in the first place or even come to that realization when all of this shit was happening from the pile up? Oh my god, I might be connected to these people." I'm sorry. I just went on like a long ass rant that probably didn't make sense, but yeah, that kind of annoyed me.
No, it made total sense. It's very sweaty tying it back into the first movie and all of these characters. Like the cop, they dodged death a previous time off screen, of course, and it was all related to a character who survived the Flight 180 explosion from the previous movie. So, like, the cop, he dodged death because he was cleaning up the death of Billy Hitchcock or whatever, and the drug guy was in Paris and was supposed to go to a concert at a building that collapsed and killed everybody, but Colin or whatever his name was died at the end of the last movie, and that death interfered with him making it to the concert. Something like that. It's very sweaty. All of that being said, I didn't hate it just because I know there's lower points that this franchise hits. Right now, for me, this is probably one of my favorite Final Destination movies, just because I thought it was really fun. I had a lot of fun with this movie that I didn't have with the last one. Starting on the car crash did really help, and like me falling asleep isn't really a testament to the movie not being fun. Part of it, I would say, is a testament to the fact that this scene that comes right after that car accident is a dialogue heavy scene with all of these uninteresting characters. So it is a fucking snooze fest. It's easy to go to, sleepy land for a little bit if you need to. Just throw
Evie
on
fell
that
asleep
clip on
through all of
YouTube.
it. Yeah, she
Yeah,
was
no,
not interested at all. Just snooze throughout the entire film.
it's these movies are pretty easy to fall asleep to. I don't know why. They're weird comfort films. But yeah, this one I had a lot of fun with. I can definitely see why you wouldn't like this one though. These movies, I feel like it almost depends on like the mood you're in or the kind of day that you're having, whether or not you're gonna vibe with a Final Destination movie. Mercedes is being mauled by her dog right now for the listeners.
That oh my god, she walked in the room and then jumped on me, and when you weren't looking, she was booping my microphone so much right now. I wish I I got that on mic, that would've been funny. Yeah, I almost died right there because she started slowly pushing me back in my chair,
That
but
would have been one of the valuable moments to be recording the video for this podcast. We can see each other, but we don't record the video for the listeners. But I just saw a dog all up on Mercedes right now, and it was pretty entertaining, actually. It looked like you guys were having a good time.
shut up. I was so mad about that, and now she's bringing me a toy. Yeah, well,
It's a dead squirrel.
it's actually a
She's like,
bat. I bought her a little
oh man,
bat.
a toy bat.
Yeah, I bought her a
Okay.
bat in honor of Ozzy Osbourne, RIP once again. But yeah, that whole scene when, Kimberly was trying to explain like, yeah, I had a premonition just like Alex did in the first one. Okay, we know that. And then even after that, when everyone, goes home, they part ways and they're all seeing the news broadcasts of what happened. Well, I'm kind of jumping the gun and forgetting one part, but yeah, I don't really like when they show information on the news in movies because I think that's like a cop out. Okay, we all know what's going on in the audience, but I think it's such a cheesy way, a generic way to explain that to the people in the film. Like, okay, yeah, this is what happened in the pileup. Oh yeah, but this guy also just died. It's like I don't know, become more creative in those aspects because then they start talking about the guy who like won the lottery that I completely forgot about
hmm
and he had just
They
got
mentioned
like
that he won the lottery at least three times before he dies. It feels a little unnecessary.
yeah, and his whole thing is he's coming home, he has a pile of goods in his hands and you see like all these like this clutter of toys on the ground and it's funny cuz you see a toy baby with one eyeball missing and then you see a little ambulance right there as well, so a little foreshadowing there. But then yeah, he's in his apartment, doing his thing. You hear people leaving voicemails on his answering machine that haven't fucking contacted this guy in like a year just because he won the lottery. Like,
That's the third time it's mentioned. The fucking cop mentions it. they mention it on that phone, or that's the second time they mention in that phone call, then they mention it on the news. It's like, guys, it's not really that fucking pivotal. Like, it doesn't
Exactly.
even relate to his death that much. His shitty living environment pre-lottery win seems to be all of the reasons why he died. It's totally inconsequential.
Yeah, it was so stupid to see that whole scene pan out because just everything he did was just like so sloppy. Okay, I'm about to cook. Let me throw out this fucking pasta noodle thing that I have out the window. And then all the other food that he's making, he's just being like very like, he's just tossing it around, not seeing that a fucking black magnet is in his container of Chinese food. Like, okay, you could clearly see that something is in there.
I do really like that death is like, I'm gonna use this spaghetti later. I'm gonna just save that spaghetti for later. And the magnet too. I didn't catch this until today, but when the H falls into the Chinese food, it spells I on the
I
fridge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like,
Like,
that's cute, I guess.
yeah, all the little subtle nods to what's about to happen to this guy. And it's funny too because even in what was it? In that video from CZ's World, he was talking about like how they kind of throw in the themes of like luck and chance in here too, where luck, this guy was lucky enough to win the lottery and then he even bought a ring as well as a snazzy watch, but like his ring is like a horseshoe. Like, okay, that's supposed to be viewed as a lucky charm, but then he has some shit luck because he drops the damn ring in his sink drain and then his hand gets stuck and then, a fucking fire starts in his apartment and then his fire extinguisher is not working and he fucking falls going out the window when he's trying to climb down the ladder and then slips on the spaghetti. That's some bad luck.
And falls right onto shattered glass too, right after he slips on the spaghetti. So
Yeah.
I guess that is the point. I didn't realize that that was the connection they were making. Like, oh, this guy's been on a lucky streak. He's so lucky. And now look how unlucky he is. And, seems like they hammered it home. I guess not enough for me to pick up on it. It must not have been that useful of a tool.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that either until I watched that film or that video. And yeah, then he gets like slammed in the face. A ladder just falls right into his eyeball. That scene, it looked so shitty, but his kill was very amusing to me.
Pretty horrific. Now, we typically decide, sometimes we'll talk about if characters deserved it. Did this character deserve it? Did he really do anything?
I don't think he deserved it because I don't know shit about this guy. Like, okay, he won the lottery. Damn, you die right after winning the lottery. That's pretty fucked up. Like, death has a sick and twisted sense of humor in that aspect.
Yeah, this movie really leans on you having seen Snow Day to really know that this guy's an asshole. It's his casting is for the Snow Day heads out there, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. Like, I legit don't know anything about him. We saw him in a premonition, and even in that premonition, he doesn't do anything. He just like does that thing where he was like doing what the fucking thing that guys do. They kind of lift their head up just to like say hi to a girl.
Oh,
Yeah, that
yeah,
little
I know what you're
nod or
talking
whatever.
about. I was like,
Yeah.
"Are you okay? Is your neck fine? Do you need to take a break from recording?"
Are you having an aneurysm? And no. Yeah.
Yeah, do I need to call help?
It's all because my dog killed me right now. But yeah, he doesn't do anything. So for him to be the first kill, like that was just to like start like tallying up the kills right there, just to have a body on the list to start off with.
I guess maybe no one in this movie really deserves this death, and maybe no one across the franchise deserves it. We'll get into that more as the movies go on. But even the druggy guy, when he was first on screen, I was thinking, "Oh, fuck this guy. He sucks." And then
Mhm.
by the end, when he's like saving that kid, I was like, "Oh man, I kind of like this guy a little bit. He's grown on me." And then he gets all diced up like cube cheese or something because a fence gets thrown at him or whatever. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty fucking crazy."
I don't think he ever grew on me just because he was such a weird ass character in a bad way. Cause yeah, when they first show him, I'm like, all right, this guy's just gonna be a dipshit, whatever. Then when they all meet up at the cop's apartment or loft or whatever it's called, he goes into the elevator and he gets his boot stuck in the door and then is like trying to see if it's like dog shit or whatever on his boot and just puts it in the face of the other
Yeah.
bystander in the elevator. It's like, dude, what are you doing? And
I
then
I thought that was pretty great, not gonna lie.
oh
The
god.
elevator thing was just to show the audience that this was the most heavy duty, serious elevator in the world for when that girl gets decapitated later. But I was like, Jesus Christ, that's aggressive the way he grabbed his boot.
Yeah, it was it was weird, but then he's like trying to lick his hand to get something off that other guy's face. It's like, okay, we're in like the uncomfortable zone here with this character. I do not want to see what else this guy comes up with. But then going back to or let me finish with Rory and then I'll go back to the elevator scene. But yeah, you see him talking to Kimberly at the like as we're approaching like the final act of this movie. He's kind of worried like, okay, you die after me, right? And their conversation, it does not seem genuine at all. It just seems like kind of awkward, but he's telling her like, can you just get rid of all of the stuff that, would disappoint my mom essentially? And then yeah, once he gets like all that barbed wire to slice and dice him open and everything, I felt bad just seeing his face because you see like a drop of blood start to just like trail down his lip. And I don't know why that visual of his face really saddened me seeing it. But everything leading up to it, I hated this guy. So I was like, he deserves to die. I just don't think he deserved to die that way.
I do think he probably won me over when he was having that heart to heart, throw away all my drugs.
On my porn. What a
Yeah,
heartfelt moment.
all my drugs, all my porn. Yes, it's very beautiful. How can you not see the beauty in that? I don't understand.
Because this guy was trying to lick his hand and touch another stranger's face. That is disgusting.
I don't know. He might be on the spectrum a little bit. Maybe he doesn't understand social boundaries.
Okay, I'll
Who
give you
knows?
that.
I mean, he had more growth than fucking Clear did, who I forgot was in this movie. She's like all over this thing. I mean, her character, they basically plucked her right out of movie one and put her in movie two with no development. She's the same character through and through. I found that kind of annoying.
Yeah, they really did. And then one line that she says when they're all explaining their near death experiences, she was like, yeah, all of the people that died, they were my friends. No, they weren't. Like in the first one, when all of them are boarding the flight, like she is not talking to anybody. She is reading. And then even when she's being questioned by the agents afterwards, they say like, none of these people were your friends. Why did you get off the plane? So how the fuck are you saying now, oh, they were my friends? You became friends with Carter and then you started dating Alex, which doesn't even look like you did, but now you're referring to them as your friends. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a good call. It's like, man, Clear, you're just rewriting history here. We've seen the last movie. Don't lie to us. It's on record. We know what happened. I do fi where were you? How come you didn't help Alex and save him from that brick, Clear? Where did you
Exactly.
Yeah, what were you doing? Were you hanging out in this facility? That came after, I think. And even though I'm coming at Clear pretty hard right now, I'm about to go at Kim pretty hard actually in that fucking insane asylum scene. When she calls Clear selfish and is like, "You have a responsibility." I was like, "No, she doesn't." Like,
Right?
she steps outside and a fucking bird flies through her skull and she's dead or something. You don't know what's gonna happen. She doesn't know you guys. Why like, this movie insists that she has a responsibility to these other people. I disagree with that, actually. I disagree with that sentiment that the movie's trying to put forth.
Yeah, it pissed me off that she was getting annoyed with Claire because, yeah, she's like, you beat this, you have a responsibility. And I love that Claire snapped back, like, what did I beat? Look where I'm at. And realistically, it's true. Like, she's not living a life of luxury at that point. She has confined herself in a fucking, like, loony bin. So she's not living large here. She is filled with survivor's guilt here and just what does she have to like she has no obligation to owe help or give help to anybody in this situation. So yeah, that scene was stupid and yeah, just to show
Yeah,
us like okay, this is where Clear is at and now she's going to come out just to try to help everyone. Made no sense.
yeah. Yeah, and it's like she can't even have push pins in her padded cell to draw yarn or to string yarn from one picture to the other for whatever reason. It looked like she had to do that with marker. That's how much of a hit that Claire has had to take. So, yeah, I don't think she owes Kim anything.
Even just having Clear in here just to be like, "Oh, this is a legacy character." It she really didn't need to be in here. She was just like that extra person, a side character. I was going to say a side piece. But
Hey, I
yeah,
mean, in a different movie, maybe.
exactly. But yeah, she brings the Kim and the cop over to Tony Todd's lair just so, he can explain everything about death in the little riddles that he likes to do. But, now he's saying only new life can defeat death. How do you interpret that? Because to me, that didn't like, what do you, how do you solve that fucking riddle? Only new life can defeat death. Because I did not think, oh, a pregnancy is going to help.
So, the exact line, I think I have it written down actually, but it says, he said, the introduction of life would invalidate death's list. And I don't know if that's true given what we know about later movies, and I won't spoil anything going forward, but there's a movie later in the franchise that kind of does definitively rewrite the rules for this franchise, and I feel like that movie invalidates what Tony Todd says right there. So I don't think that's accurate.
That has to be a movie that either I didn't see or
It's one you saw. Okay, so spoilers for Final Destination Bloodlines. If you
oh,
don't
okay.
want to hear any details, maybe skip ahead a little bit. I'll try to put music under the section where we talk about Bloodlines so you can skip until the music is over. But basically, in Final Destination, so introduction of life would invalidate death's list. That's not true because I want to say in Bloodlines, all of the people went on to have families, and death is going on, killing all of those families. These people had babies, and those babies maybe had babies, and those people are still in. They end up on death's list. Then it's not invalidating death's list. So I don't think that that is accurate anymore.
Yeah, and I feel like they might have said this not anticipating they were going to have what, 6 films in this whole series, so
Yeah. This one feels like it didn't do a good job of predicting what the franchise was gonna become. It is a weird outlier with all these new rules and all like death is working in different ways, and I feel like it's the only one that does this, and the rest of them are like, let's just be more straightforward.
and another thing that bothered me in this film was Kimberly's premonitions, because whenever she was experiencing them, all of a sudden she could feel what was going on in these premonitions. So,
Yeah,
when the cop and Clear are driving to the hospital, she starts grabbing her neck because she is getting, strangled to death essentially. And she doesn't know what's going on with that. Then later, she is choking because she was drowning in another premonition. Okay, in the first one, when Alex had his premonition, he was just sweating bullets. And who wouldn't? She was even kind of like frazzled after her initial premonition. But he never, felt anything going on. So it's like, okay, is this one more sensitive to these, premonitions she's having? I don't know. I don't like that they did that. It rubbed me the wrong way.
yeah, it's so in our last episode, I mentioned how Billy Hitchcock walks up to Alex and asks him if he starts asking him questions, almost making it seem like he thinks his powers are kind of like Stephen King's The Dead Zone. And this movie treats the powers actually more like Stephen King's The Dead Zone. She's having premonitions ongoing of her thinking she's seeing other people's deaths. And yeah, again, I think they just drop it after this movie.
Yeah, because I don't remember anything like that happening in part three. And again, I only seen part three and then Bloodlines. I haven't seen the other two. So for them to have that in here, maybe they wanted to try it out, but like that was not successful. And another detail too from CZ's world, he had mentioned, with the first film, how in one of the deleted scenes, Alex and Clear were Clear had a baby and it was Alex's. And I guess in like test screenings, the audiences didn't respond to that well, so they decided to, toss that idea. But why would they bring a baby type of idea in here if it didn't work out in the first one? Which I agree with, because the whole scene with the pregnant woman, it just doesn't blend well in this movie. It it just seems very out of place with her being like held in the jail cell. Then she's going into labor, then they're the reason why the van filled with all the other survivors fucking crashes. So I don't know. I didn't like that part either.
It's because the movie's filled with red herrings. It just feels like death has its own red herrings that make you feel like death is going to happen in one way, but it ends up subverting your expectation and happening in a different way. It is kind of making the audience look in one direction that they're not actually supposed to be looking in. I did have that exact same thought that you had, though. I thought, are they retrofitting a failed idea, not failed, but an idea that didn't work in the last one into this? I mean, I feel like it works better than it would have worked in the first movie, but again, it's inconsequential to this movie because this lady didn't actually die in the premonition, so the new life invalidating death thing isn't even a factor.
Yeah, and when they're all in the hospital, Eugene's there, he's in critical condition. Clear is looking for him, and the other two, they're trying to figure out like what the meaning of everything is. You see all the wires in Eugene's room are like slowly coming undone. All these little things are happening. So he's thinking, like, fuck, I'm about to die right now. He can barely breathe. But then once the woman, I don't remember, Isabella, I think, once she has her baby, it's like Death is like an asshole because he kind of gives a little like, "Ha, everything's okay now because she had the baby." Eugene is able to breathe again, but then Kimberly has her little premonition. Okay, you know, something wrong is about to happen. Claire goes to help Eugene or find Eugene, and as soon as she opens the door, they all blow up. Okay, so Death was like, "Psych, never mind. You're all gonna die
Well,
still."
Tony Todd alludes to the fact that for every death, there is a new life or something like that. And so I thought that it was a little bit of mirroring that. The baby's born into the world, and as the baby's born, Eugene and Clear are being killed. Also, that isn't how the world works, because how would you explain population growth or overpopulation if for every time somebody was born, somebody died?
This movie just doesn't work. Like everything that they do in here, it doesn't work. It's awkward. And then kind of going back to the elevator scene, you already felt uncomfortable with Rory in there trying to, lick that guy's face essentially. But then once the mom who lost her kid, Nora, she's in there with Eugene because they're just like, you know what, we're out. Like, fuck this shit. You have that strange man in there with hooks. He just smells this woman's hair and has the most fucking disturbing look at his face. Thankfully, Eugene saw and was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But why is that in there as well? Like, okay, he's in there. He has a fucking box of limbs with hooks on it. Okay, that's creepy enough. We didn't need to add this creep factor in there that he needed to smell this woman's hair. This movie just takes so many twists and turns that was unnecessary.
I kinda liked that weird guy in the elevator and
Of
how
course
much
you
he
did.
was freak I liked when he was freaking out when the mom died, and he's just in the elevator like, "Yeah," it's like, "Yeah, dude, because 'cause you're complicit in this woman's death, you fucking weirdo." I just he was a good presence, and he had a look that, kinda worked for me. I was like, "Put this guy in more movies."
I am not surprised at all that you like this guy for the
Why are you
brief
not
time.
surprised?
Just
Really?
because he's a fucking creeper and you seem to
Well, what does
like
that say about me?
that you like the strange characters in films.
Oh, you called him creepy. You didn't call him strange.
Creepy, strange, all the things that make this guy basically, the guy with the van out there. Like, I don't know. This guy was just weird.
I did really want Nora, I think that's what you said her name was. I did really want her to survive that elevator scene. Elevator deaths in movies have always gotten me, especially since I saw, um, what's it called? Resident Evil, I think it was, as a kid.
Oh, yeah. That was traumatizing.
Yeah, like, the first death is, like, an elevator kill, I think, and ever since then, elevator kills have really bothered me, and this one I was like, "Please make it out, please make it out." Even though I don't think there's really much chance of someone dying that way in real life, it still seems pretty horrific, and I think part of it comes from me being claustrophobic.
Yeah, her death scene also made me feel bad because she's already at she's just fully defeated right now because she even tells Kim because Kim is trying to get her to stay in the apartment, that way she is quote unquote safe with all of them. But Nora says, I lost my husband a few years ago and now I just lost my son. If it's time for me to die and be in heaven with my family, then so be it essentially. So it's like, okay, Yeah, there's no convincing this woman. She's basically like, if I die, I die, fuck it. But then once in the elevator and the fucking cop tells her like a man with hooks is gonna kill you. Don't lead with that. Just you could have been like, hey, look out for a man with hooks or something. Maybe she would have reacted the same way. I don't know. But yeah, then that's what, starts the whole down spiral of her getting her head stuck in the elevator. But you feel bad because she's crying, she's screaming, and then she even yells out, I don't want to die. And then she dies. Like, I genuinely felt bad at that point for her.
I did too, and it was sad, her being like, "I can be with my son," but she forgets to mention that her son got one of the sickest deaths in the whole fucking movie, you know? He got fucking splattered. His death, oh, it was so funny, all of it, like, the whole dentist thing, I was all there for, him almost choking on the little, like, baby mobile thing that's hanging above him in the dentist chair as he's getting nitrous oxide pumped into his lungs and displacing all the air, and he's basically gonna suffocate, but he survives all that and then goes outside and there are pigeons because there's a big dumb thing about pigeons in this movie. And even I'm criticizing this movie a lot for a movie I enjoyed, but
I was gonna say.
he but so he comes outside with his mom and Kat or Kim and the officer are like, the pigeons, no, and he takes it as, oh, go disturb all of these pigeons, and then he goes and fucks with the pigeons. It ruins all this construction going on, and then like a big glass plate or something falls on him and it's like splat, and it's just so comical. That's when I was like, oh, this is a full-blown comedy. But aside from the log through the cop car, that might be my favorite kill in the whole movie. That's it's all just a fantastic work of comedy from top to bottom, I think.
What the hell kind of reaction was that to begin with, though? Like, oh yeah, pigeons. Yeah, let me go fuck with the pigeons right here. And why didn't these construction workers have, like, tape or cones blocking off that area that they were working at? That is all of their fault. And this kid's fault, and Kim's fault, as well as the cop's fault. But his death was kind of funny.
Yeah, everybody involved really botched that that whole operation. And
Seriously.
and when she sees the pigeons originally, I couldn't tell if that was a vision she had, but she saw it in like the reflection of a window. And she's like, "The pigeons." And the cop's like, "What pigeons?" And then it's like a reverse shot from where we originally were in her POV. And I was like, "Were there ever pigeons to begin with? What was that shot?"
Yeah, I don't know because realistically, if they didn't show up there and called attention to the pigeons, I don't think this kid would have died. So it's her fault.
It is her fault. I feel like they incite a lot of the deaths in this movie. Like when they bring everybody together in one location, my first thought was, doesn't seem like a smart idea to bring everybody Death wants dead to. I mean, Death has a list for all of you. He could just blow up the apartment. We've seen apartments blow up at the hands of Death. It it's a very odd choice.
Plus, look at everything in this man's apartment. Like, he plays every fucking sport out there, essentially. He had, like, a little I don't know what it's called, a little canoe. He had, like, spears in the back. Then in one of his closets, he had ice skates in there. He had a shit ton of backpacks hanging up, so it's like, "Alright, you're probably mountain climbing, you're probably doing all this other shit." Like, you are in the worst possible safe zone because every object in here could potentially kill you. What the fuck?
Is this Roy's house? Is this the druggie's house?
No, this is the cop's house.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because Roy is kind of wandering around that house, like, or that apartment, like he has never been there before. But then I remembered the elevator sequence, and was that just him going up to the cop's apartment also? Or do they live in the same complex?
Yeah, he was just meeting all of them up there, and he happened to be the only one to stay. Everyone else was like, "Nah, I'm leaving." So, it's he was the one to see, the man with hooks sign anyway. So, yeah, but they were at the cop's house, and it's just like, damn, I wish I could be that involved in all these activities. I was actually jealous.
Yeah, and basically, I think so far we've covered every death in the movie except for Kat's death. Shit. I forgot that what happened until this very moment. She just has a weird interaction with, I think it's the fire department. They're trying to pry her out of the car, and she's like, "Could you use something that's less loud?" And he's like, "Sorry, lady, I'll turn it on quiet mode." And then she's like, "Thank you." And then they bump the car, the airbag goes off and smashes her head into a fucking pole that was in the back of her, that was stabbed through the back of her headrest. It was just so, I felt bad for her, honestly. It was like, what a ridiculous way to go.
I didn't feel bad for her. She was a fucking idiot for being in the car and smoking. Like, I don't know.
And staying in that seat.
Yeah, I feel like, well, cuz she had the that piece of like a log like that smashed into
Oh,
the, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was like trapping her inside. But the firemen should have told her, like, hey man, like, just to be safe and cautious, like, don't smoke, because if there's a gas leak, you could be fucked. But yeah, she was a dumbass for being like, oh yeah, can you be a little quieter or whatever. And the guy was a dick to her too, because then he's like, oh yeah, I'll just put it on quiet mode. And he probably deliberately like shoved that thing or rammed the whatever he was using into the door harder at that point. And then yeah, she died. It was a fucked up way to die, but I think she deserved to die.
Oh man, I don't know if she deserved to die, but then her death, yeah, causes the chain reaction that causes the explosion that kills Rory. And yeah, it sucked to see him go. Any thoughts on their deaths at all, or any more deaths in the movie before we hop over into how this thing wraps up?
No, I was happy that she got her death. I was happy that Rory died,
You're
even though
happy.
dude, you should know this by now. I choose violence. Like, I want these people to die. Everyone deserved to
True.
die except
You
Tommy.
did send me you did send me that in a text message earlier this week. You said I do choose violence first.
I really do. People don't expect that from me. And then once I finally like show my true colors on what I'm thinking, I get a lot of disturbed looks or responses. It's like, hey, I warned you already. So you should know this by now. Just saying. Anyway,
Yeah, that's
um,
how this package comes.
exactly.
Maybe, like I said, as we go on throughout later entries, I'll kind of get on board with some of these people getting knocked off the table. But these past two, I was just like, I don't know if these people really deserve it. But the ending, basically, like without going into like too much detail on it, Kim ends up it turns out her premonitions weren't of the pregnant lady. They're like of her own death, and she sees like a nurse bringing her back to life and all of this. So she's like, "Oh, I have to drown." So she steals an ambulance, drives it straight into the water, and ends up drowning and is brought back to life. And as far as like we know so far in these movies, she makes it to the end and beats death's list, which is also s- something different compared to the last movie. Yeah, I gotta say I quite enjoyed the way this movie wrapped up, especially compared to how the first Final Destination wrapped up, where that final sequence, it was totally like too hard to tell what was even happening. I felt like this was pretty well done and exciting. What about you?
Not at all. I do not feel the same. So, the only part that, I kind of enjoyed was Just the chase sequence between her and the cop when she's just like jetting it to the lake to, crash and drown herself, and the cop is chasing her. But once she's already like sinking to the bottom and he's down there with her trying to, break the glass to save her, she has the most gentle fucking death I have ever seen for a drowning experience. Like, she's already come to terms with it. Like, yeah, I have to be the one to die. So there was no hesitation whatsoever when she jumped in the van. Yeah, she had like one final like glance or eye contact with the cop, but then she just books it to the lake and just, is ready to kill herself. Then when she sees him one more time in the water, she kind of just, I think she kind of just puts her hand up by the window and then she just slowly pushes or like lets her head fall back and she dies. I hated that so fucking much. I would figure like, at the last second she's like, "Nah, fuck it, get me out of here." And like she panics cuz I feel like, or at least what I've heard is like, people when they are attempting, suicide, they do have like a flash of regret if they make it. So you would think she'd have a moment of panic, but she doesn't. She's just kind of, reflecting on what happened in the past events of her life or the most recent events of her life, and then she just dies. Yeah, she's brought back to life, but I didn't like that.
I'd say I bought it. She felt tortured enough by all of this to where I could see her resorting to taking her own life. I could see the idea of her maybe putting up more of a struggle, but if I were in those shoes and I had seen how absolutely horrific everybody else died by getting like decapitated or exploding, and I knew I could trust my premonitions that I was having, if they've steered me in the right direction before, I would take that bet. Now, maybe instinctually, I would probably put up a fight as I was drowning. I feel like, or maybe I'd put myself in a position where I could be saved a bit easier, maybe accessed a bit easier, just in case they didn't save me in time to bring me back. But it was something I was able to buy.
Hey, as long as you liked it and you can defend this movie because I can't. Just watching
I
that
mean,
part. No, go on.
it like, especially after that initial drowning, I mean, well, say what you were gonna say because I was gonna move a little forward in the ending.
No, I kind of was too. Like, just with her drowning, being brought back to life, the cop is right there too. And he is as calm as he can be. And it's like, okay, did you for certain know she was going to be brought back to life? What if her plan failed and she just died? You were super calm, like, you weren't even like, "Man, like, winded or anything." He just said, like, "Oh, I thought I lost you." Okay, show some type of emotion in there other than, adoration because they clearly had, like, a thing for each other developed, but nah, that was it was poorly executed in my eyes.
I won't dispute that. I can see where you're coming from. His character, yeah, the believability may not have been there as strongly with him. My read of it is they do end up together at the end, though.
Oh, yeah, they do, and I was happy about that because like, unlike, uh, Clear and Alex getting together at the end, I could actually believe it with these 2.
Yeah, they have chemistry.
They do. The little interaction shows that they have a little spark between them. But it's like, wow, they didn't really have a lot of scenes. Well, they had a lot of scenes together, but like, I don't know, they weren't really communicating as much, but they did have natural chemistry. So I could at least buy them being together by the time they go to that little barbecue.
Yeah, and then yeah, I agree with you. I'm glad that they do end up together. And As far as I know, I don't know if I don't think these characters return for future movies, but I wouldn't mind if they like for Final Destination 7 if somehow these characters had involvement with it. Again, I would also be completely fine if they didn't. I think these movies work pretty well as standalone movies, and they kind of maybe hurts this one a little bit that it is dedicating so much of what happens in this movie to the previous one, but everything does wrap around, I think, in a very satisfying way. Again, this movie leans pretty hard on the comedy in a way that I enjoyed, but it's all of them enjoying. I don't even know who that couple is that they're with at the end of the movie, but their son is the character that Rory saved. Were you about to tell me who the couple is?
It's just his parents. They were the ones that found them when they crashed and they were trying to just help them out. So that was another thing too. It's like what they're thinking, yeah, let's all get back together and reminisce on the time that we all almost died. I thought that was such a weird little shindig they were having there.
Yeah, so it's just the parents of the kid. Nobody. They have no relation to anybody else except they saved him from that crash.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Wow, yeah, it does seem weird that they would connect with those people after that. I don't buy that they would do that, but I do find it pretty funny that it is made clear that Rory saved that kid from death and therefore that kid must die. And he just explodes, and the movie ends on him exploding in an arm. His cooked arm falls in front of his mom, and it's pretty horrific. And I enjoyed that. That was a nice little button at the end of what was a pretty funny movie to me.
Yeah, that part I did enjoy because I wasn't expecting that. So they just show like a flash of him and then he fucking blows up. Okay. What a way to end the film. I don't think it would have ended well if they just concluded right when Kimberly was brought back to life. So, yeah, to bring the comedy back in there, that was a good move.
Yeah, I really I liked how it ended. You got any final thoughts on Final Destination 2?
Hmm, just that I think I like the first one more. Yeah, rewatching it now, I definitely yeah, I like the first one more.
I've got to say that does surprise me. I didn't really expect it until you sent me a text before we started recording, and the tone of the text kind of made me feel like, oh, Mercedes didn't like this thing. Uh,
Yeah, I was planning on shitting on this entire movie. Like it has some cool parts in it, but yeah, it was bad.
well, I've got to say, I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it significantly more than the last one, actually. I felt like it was a step up. And even for the criticisms that I had of this movie, there is something about it that I really like and find intriguing. This is one of the few franchises we've covered so far where I've seen basically every entry in it before we've recorded these episodes. And this one being this weird outlier where it has rules that the other movies don't pick up on. It's the only one that directly ties in to the events of the first movie in a largely significant plot way. It just feels so weird and special to me within this Final Destination series. I like it a lot. And I do also find it interesting too this franchise keeps switching directors. The first and third movie were done by the same guy, and the second and fourth movie were done by the same guy. And I mean, Mercedes, if you didn't like this one, I mean, geez, wait till you see the next one this guy did in the franchise. Well, we're gonna get there, but holy lord.
From what I remember, I like 3, and then when you were saying them, I was like, "Wait, did I get them mixed up?" But yeah, so I probably won't like the other one then, part 4.
Yeah, three is done by James Wong, and part four has just a pretty bad reputation. I won't give away any
Got it.
details.
Got
Yeah,
it, got
it's
it.
Yeah, we've discussed this off mic a few times before though, I'm pretty sure. But, yeah, I don't know, I appreciate this movie for how inconsistent it is within the franchise, and, yeah, I don't know, there's just something about it. It really works for me. And aside from that, I think the intro sequence does a lot of heavy lifting on top of the comedy. I like the MacGuffins that Death sets up. It feels like Death has a sense of humor and he really likes messing with audience expectations. I wouldn't be surprised if these movies were all actually just directed by Death himself, if he was the writer director and was just going under pseudonyms this whole time. Because the character of Death feels very self aware in a Deadpool kind of way.
Yeah, he's fucking like pulling jokes on people like, haha, you thought you were gonna kill yourself. You thought you were gonna die, but it's not your time yet. Haha. So yeah. But I am really excited to revisit part 3. That one, I don't know why it holds a special place in my heart, but let's see if I still feel that way after watching it again for the next episode.
Yeah, 3, again, it's the only one I didn't watch in the marathon I was doing. Actually, I didn't watch this one in the marathon I did with my girlfriend either. For some reason, she watched 2 and 3 without me. It was a big moment of betrayal, but I am no one to talk
Oh
because
my god.
I saw Bloodlines without her, and, she was pretty upset about that, even though I told her, but she was busy and didn't properly read the message, but I was like, "I'm going to see Bloodlines," and then, yeah, I had to apologize. Then I
uh,
bought it for her, so and we enjoyed it together. It was a very nice
I
time.
I mean, at least you redeemed yourself, but like no. No, that's actually kind of funny because I watched the new season of Wednesday without my husband because I didn't have to go to work the day that it came out, so I'm just like, "It's raining outside. I am not going anywhere. I cannot just sit here and not watch Wednesday." So I'm just gonna watch it and, just pretend I didn't watch it until he can watch it with me, and then I could just rewatch it, and I'll be okay with
Oh,
that.
man.
But
Oh,
then
man. That's
w
never a good move. You gotta come clean. Just come clean immediately.
well, that's the thing because finally when he was home and he was like, "Oh, we can watch it," I was like, "Alright," so I went on my profile to put it on, and he's like, "You watched it already?" I'm like, "I didn't know when you were gonna be home to watch it with me,"
Damn,
and he was so sad. I'm like, "Oh my god, don't do that to me."
damn.
So, yeah.
Breaking that man's heart.
But he broke my heart one time too because when funny story, when I was having him watch Gilmore Girls, like we were marathoning it whenever I hung out with him, and then there was one episode where I was like, "Do not watch this one without me," because he was starting to like watch some of them. I'm like, "Okay, he's kind of liking the show, cool." But he fucking watched it without me. I'm like, "What did I tell you?" So he started it. So moral of the story, it was his fault.
Wait, what was the show?
Gilmore Girls.
Oh, Gilmore Girls. I thought it was gonna be
Yeah.
like fucking like Breaking Bad or like Game of Thrones where it was like a pivotal point. It's a
I love Gilmore Girls, and I
but
wanted him to watch that, and then there was one episode that I loved, and I wanted to watch it with him because I wanted to see his reaction, and he fucking watched it without me. So, yeah.
I'm gonna give you guys both a pass on this one, just because I I don't believe you would be able to resist from watching a new season of Wednesday. I don't think that would be possible. Like it seems like you just love that show like
I
deeply.
do. I
Um
really do.
and then I give him the pass because it's Gilmore Girls. I mean, it's like
Hey, hey now, be
that's not
nice.
that's not disparaging against Gilmore Girls, but it's not like I don't think that show has consistent like plots that run from episode to episode. They're like pretty contained.
Sometimes they do. This one, it had a long time coming because it was the part where they were doing like this 24-hour dance off, and it was going to be the ending of Rory's first relationship because she was going to start another one basically, and the entire town was witnessing it, and it was a fucking great moment, and I wanted to be there when he saw it, but no. So anyway, moral of the story, his fault. And he's probably going to hear this and give me so much shit for it later, but I don't care.
They should have done the 24-hour dance off as if it was like a season of 24 or something like that. So it all takes place in real time, the full 24 hours. And that being a half hour show or whatever, that's 48 episodes you got of the dance-a-thon. You see, I wrote 2 seasons of television for Gilmore Girls right for them. How long did this dance off last? How many episodes?
One.
One episode. Wait, what? Okay. What so wait, it was the season was building up to the dance off though?
No, it was the storyline was building up to a scene in this dance off, but the dance off was cool. Just because everyone was all decked out in, like, the pinup girl type of style, and they all had to just dance for charity, and the last, couple to stand wins this big ass trophy, and, the characters Lorelai and Rory, they were paired up together because Lorelai really wanted to win the trophy, but you could see that Rory was wanting to not date her boyfriend anymore, and she was trying to date like the bad boy in here. So it was like, wait, this is going to be the episode where it finally fucking happens, and then it does happen, and then Rory gets put in her fucking place by the one, the only Jared Padalecki. So it was a crucial episode to watch.
You know, not to like derail this any further, we're having a real case of the Banjo Kazooies right now. I don't even remember what episode that was on. Misery, I think. I thought you were talking
Probably.
about. I thought you were talking about Golden Girls until you were saying all these characters' names. I was like, wait, these aren't Golden Girls characters. Gilmore Girls. Okay, that's not. Thank you for being a friend. Not that one.
Wow. Okay,
You're a
now I
pal and
see.
a confidant.
No, this is if you need you need me to be with you. Yeah, that one. So now I
Nice.
could see. Yeah, I was not ready for that. But no, now I could see why you responded like that. I don't fucking watch Golden Girls, Gilmore Girls.
Okay, I've never seen an episode of Gilmore Girls, so I actually have no room to talk.
Okay,
So,
so back to Final
and also,
Destination.
sorry to your husband for backpedaling a little bit on it, but um, I'm gonna stay neutral.
Nah, it's all good, man. But yeah, sorry guys for us going off the rails there. We have to in every episode, or most of our episodes anyway.
That was a good
But
one. That was fun.
it really was. Thank you for participating with me.
Yeah. Thank you for making me think you were talking about Gilmore Girls for about 5 minutes.
I was talking about Gilmore
Or
Girls. You thought I was
God
talking
damn
about Golden Girls.
Golden Girls, Gossip Girl, one of the girl shows. Girls, I don't know.
Girls, girls,
Adam
girls.
Driver's in one of them. Yeah, Motley Crue, they did a show called Girls, Girls. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Guys,
Final
just rate
Destination
us.
2, 10 out of 10 masterpiece, best movie we've ever covered on the podcast. What else is there to say?
Don't forget to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Come show us some love on our Instagram, morbid_curiosities_pod. We can give you guys a little shout out on here. We got some good picks coming up for you guys after the series of Final Destination. Yeah, just stay tuned with us.
We've been Morbid Curiosities.
Let's fucking go!